All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA Show, Mastering Self-Confidence. So what I want to kind of talk about today is going to be very simple. I'm just going to call it just be what you want to be. And it took me a long time in my life to really understand this, because I think a lot of us are programmed to be what somebody else wants us to be, or what we may think we should be, not truly what we want to be. And it's really interesting when you grow up around, say, artists, and you grow up around business-oriented people, or if you grow up around, I guess you could say, people in and out of prison, or street people. And, I grew up around a lot of those type of people. And what I realized a lot of times, regardless what type of person they are, is a lot of people, I think, got lost along the way because, and I did either a podcast or a video on this, they didn't become what they felt. They kind of became what they saw. And I kind of saw that happening with me. And, it's not easy to kind of really become self-aware to say, you know what, I don't want to be this. I want to be this. And it could be as simple as just starting off. A lot of people I know want to move to a different city or state, but they become a prisoner within their own surroundings. And I think I could speak for tons of family members, friends, and even colleagues that are always complaining, that feel like they can never leave, hypothetically, say, Chicago or California or even the East Coast, because of maybe their job, maybe because of their kids, maybe because of whatever situation, and I get it. But I do think a lot of times when you have the opportunity to make the move, you didn't. And the same goes for work. A lot of people claim they don't want to do what they're doing, right? Tons of people, but they don't do anything else to kind of break out of that and go do something else, or again, be what they want to be. And here's the thing, I think what I find a lot of times very quite interesting is, because I was around a lot of alcoholics and drug addicts in my youth. And I think what happens to people too is they don't become either what they wanted to be, or they weren't as successful maybe, or they didn't end up in this wherever they thought they should be going. And I think they start to drink and maybe even do drugs to suppress that. Now, I may be wrong. I'm not an alcoholic or drug addict. But I think they become unhappy with themselves. Now, on the other side of that, I also see people that party, drink, and do drugs and whatever to have a blast, or to have the experience, which is, that's cool. That's whatever you want to do. And but it's funny how when you look at life sometimes, let's take alcohol and drugs, how some people use it to become numb, or, they do it because they're depressed or they feel a certain way. And then others do it because they want to feel a certain way on the other side of it. And I think sometimes with our life, we kind of go through that as well, minus the alcohol and drugs. I think a lot of people don't want to admit it. They don't want to sometimes be what they thought they wanted to be, if that makes sense. I think a lot of times you have to acknowledge, if you truly want to be something, you're not always going to get it. I don't care what you say. A lot of people, like I've discussed this before, if you thought I was going to be Michael Jordan or Walter Payton when I was younger, I loved athletes. I wasn't. I don't care how much I worked out. I didn't have the genetics. I didn't have the gifts that they had. So let's not bullshit each other. But if I truly wanted to be an athlete, maybe I should have considered becoming a coach or a trainer or something in that nature, right? Just saying, I can kind of go close. But I think, again, back to being what you want to be, let's even forget about work, because I think too much of us wrap our lives up, or our lives around saying, hey, I didn't become the president of my own company. Hey, I didn't, I wanted to own this. I wanted to create this. Again, I wanted to be huge in stocks. I wanted to be a real estate mogul. I wanted to be all these things. I get it. I'm talking personally, be what you want to be too. And I think that's the one thing if you can just start off personally being what you want to be, I think a lot of people see others and their flaws and they don't like the way they're being treated again. But on the other side of that, they're not very good at treating other people or treating others as well. In life, I think the number one gift I'm going to say that you can end up getting is self-awareness. I talk about it on my podcast all the time. If you're not self-aware of who you are and what you want to be and what you want to do, you're going to be lost. And I know this firsthand because I feel like this, not only in my past, but sometimes I feel like it now. What's scary when you become very self-aware is you're starting to understand that everything you're saying and doing is for a reason. And is that reason good or is it bad? Is it going to have a positive effect on my life or negative? Also, back to others, am I treating people the same way I want to be treated? I still catch myself sometimes not always treating people correctly. Lately, I've been able to really work on that. And a lot of that comes down to just listening. But I'm here to tell you, if for this, the simplest way, and I'm not going to make this a very long podcast by any means, but if you truly want to be something, look at it at the beginning as a small scale and a starting point, not at the very end. And I know a lot of people are like, hey, I want to own my own company. And then they're like, oh my God, that seems so far away. I'll never financially have that. I'll never be able to do that. Most people aren't going to start. They're going to shit in their pants and quit. Instead of looking at it from that, why don't you just start saying, hey, I want to be the president. I want to own my own company down the road in this industry. How can I just start learning about this and just start very small? I think everybody thinks big, which is wonderful, but the bigness or the grand scale of it eventually holds people back and makes them shit in their pants. If you look at anybody, at least that I know, most people I know that ended up very successful, if they weren't handed wealth, started off small. They started their companies off. I mean, we hear about Steve Jobs or Bezos, all these guys in garages and all this. That's legit, I think. So don't sell yourself short. Be realistic, though. There's no question about that. Like I said, a lot of times you have to understand you most likely are never going to be Steve Jobs, okay? You're most likely never going to be Amazon. I mean, that's just, the odds of that are probably in the trillions. Who gives a fuck? And there's nothing wrong for aiming with that. But if you want to start your own online business, let's say, okay, or whatever, a technology company, start off with you, maybe just a friend, or you, or just maybe hiring one person part-time, maybe getting an intern. Whatever it is, just start. I talk about it all the time. You start becoming what you want to be. Hopefully, you will evolve into what you want to be. It's almost like a big puzzle life, and all the pieces are scattered, I feel like, a lot of times. And you look at that puzzle, and unless you do puzzles all the time, you're like, what the fuck is all this? I know what the picture looks like. How am I going to put all these pieces together? But as you know, if you start with one piece at a time, it starts to come together. It just takes time. So, anyways, I just thought I would do a podcast on this. I know sometimes I sound like a fucking... I don't like a lot of those dudes either. They're always kind of preaching and telling you what you got to do and what you shouldn't do and what they did and their backstory, how they started this and that. I will say a lot of those people, God bless it, they became successful. You know, these mentors and coaches I've been doing videos on, I think a lot of them are fake. You got to figure this shit out on your own, man. You have to. No one lives the same life. I talk about it in my videos and podcasts all the time. So I don't give a shit if I went and followed the number one real estate guru in the world or in North America or whatever the hell. He started off differently than I am. He thinks differently than I am, lives an entirely different lifestyle most likely than I am. So even if I follow a lot of what he's saying, can be very beneficial. But again, who knows? Most likely too, when a lot of these people started off, it could have been years ago. So say he's a real estate mogul now, hypothetically 2020, he started in 2000. Well, he went through all different types of things to get to where he's at. And it's going to be much different than what you're going to go through. That I can assure you. So a lot of times, I'm just going to say it, what you're being taught is outdated. So figure shit out on your own is what I should wrap this up with. All right, I went on a little rant there. Good job. All right, if you get a chance, you might want to check out my YouTube channel. I've been putting up a lot of different videos up there regarding many different things. It's just my name, Rich Celenza. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Hey, leave me a comment. Share my shit if you want. Call me an asshole. I don't care. Whatever you got to do, you got to do. I love communicating with people. I truly try to help people. And what else do I got left here? Yeah, that's all I really got. All right, take care, and I wish you nothing but the best.